When I was a young man, it was very common for young people to go to older people for advice and to find out different tactics that they could use throughout their life. And it makes sense. If you're getting ready to travel down a dark, 50-mile road and you know nothing about that road, wouldn't it make sense to talk to somebody who had been down that road a few times and that could maybe give you a little heads up on some of what you might run into? But for whatever reason, I mean, generations change and attitudes change, but it seems like young people today just are really less than interested on what the old boomers have to say. That aside, I'm still going to throw my advice out here for the, maybe the 1%, that one person maybe that might be able to make some sense of it. And here's how it all happened. So I'm 63 years old. I've been around a while. And, I've been married. I'm married now. This is my second marriage. My first marriage lasted 20 years, 19 years, and then the 20th year was the divorce. And I'm now hitting my 20th year on this marriage. I divorced my ex-wife, and that was due to infidelity. I have certain rules. That's a rule. If you cross that, if you break that rule, there's no discussion. I'm not going to save the marriage. You're done. So that's what happened there. And so now I'm very happily married, and like I said, we're hitting our 20th year. And I'm fully retired, and I go through YouTube. I'm one of these guys that's just amazed at the technology. I play video games, VR, all that shit. So I try to stay on top of all kinds of just the technology. And social media is an interesting thing if you grew up without it. So I get into these little trends that I go through when I'm watching YouTube, and every now and again I get locked into these videos from, I think it's called Hitting the Wall, where there's a whole series of different compilations on YouTube of women who are in their 30s and are just devastated over the fact that they can't find a decent man, or they're not married, or nobody wants to date them, or they're they dress up and they go out trying to attract a guy, and guys won't say anything to them. And it's nothing new. And we all know why that happens. But I guess if I was going to give advice to a young woman, and look, I got 7 kids. They're all grown. I have two daughters and 4 boys. And they're all grown, as I said. So I've seen all this shit up close and personal. And I will tell you, this is to the young women. The bottom line, and the reason the dating world is so screwed up for you guys right now, and the marriage potential, and why guys are fleeing to other countries to find, non-westernized women, which I endorse 100%. So if you're a guy watching this, by all means, and I've said this on other videos, man, and I stand by this. No offense, women, but this is what happens when you make your bed and then you got to lie in it. And I'm not trying to chew you out or scold you, but I advise all men, all single men, that if you want a marriage that's going to last, you got to avoid all Western women and all westernized women, because of the internet, even some of the women that are from the Far East or from Asia, they've been westernized because they've just been, you get sucked into the whole internet thing, and the cultures can spread electronically into other cultures and end up with cross-culture contamination. But if you can find like a traditional Asian woman, brother, you're going to be happy as hell. And that's a whole nother topic. But, and I feel sad to say that, because I know that Western women must be thinking, wow, that really sucks. I had 3 sisters. Now my daughters are all mixed because I took my own advice. Okay, I didn't date white women and Americanized, westernized women. The first one was Spanish, and this one is Asian. My current wife is Asian. But let's go back to what screwed this up, and I don't even know if it can be salvaged. But when women wanted equality, I could have told you way back then because this whole, the women's rights movement, that was going on in the 70s too. I mean, even before that. So, there was the bra burning and we're going to go out and we can do any job that a man can do. And I watched it through the years as women took on traditionally male positions. in the military and law enforcement, you name it. And I've worked for women who were put into these places, and in their minds they scratched and clawed their way in. But come on, man, we all know that diversity is a real thing. And when it comes to hiring practices, we can lie and pretend like that shit doesn't happen. But it does happen. When you have to check a box because of somebody's race or sex and not on their the merits and their capabilities, what you end up with is where we're at right now. And it goes off in many different branches. But in terms of the relationship branch, men, if you want to be equal with men are not going to really be interested in you unless these men have been completely pussified, which there's an entire generation of guys that if you look at them, they walk, talk, and act feminine. They're not gay. They just act feminine because they're all fucked up. They don't know how to act. Ask them to change a tire. 99% of the fucking college kids couldn't do it. And they wouldn't want to get dirty anyways, even if you laid out the tools for them. Those men are starting to act like women, and the women like them in the friend zone, but they don't want to freaking date and marry these guys. They're just like chicks. They talk like chicks. They gossip like chicks. They just act like chicks. So you wanted to be equal with men, but men aren't interested in men. So men don't want you to be equal with them. And this is not just my old crusty ass telling you about my experiences with my own life. I've grown up around men, of course. I've had a long time on this planet with men, and I've done manly jobs. I was in the military as a paratrooper. I was a Los Angeles police officer. I was a federal agent here in D.C. with the Inspector General office, and I know what real men, what they want in a woman. And here's the kicker: it's not much. It's not much at all. And women who are lonely and are going to die alone, except for the 5 or 6 cats they have, and complain that men just aren't interested in them, they, for whatever reason, just don't understand that being a woman and being feminine and being soft is not a weakness. Now, I don't want to get into the whole religious aspects of things because I don't think you need to here. Although I believe that men and women were created, to fulfill different roles that complement one another, and by our God, that's what I believe. But religion aside, you have to accept the fact that there is only equality between men and women if the men capitulate and give you that equality. Man, that really sucks, doesn't it? Doesn't it suck to hear that? Because you've been lied to by your teachers. You've been probably lied to by your parents. You've been lied to by Hollywood. And so you're probably talking about women right now. Young women are probably going to hate a guy that looks into the camera and says that you are only equal because men allow you to be equal. I would love to be proven wrong. I would love to be proven wrong because I guarantee you, if the skies above filled with Chinese or Russian parachutes with soldiers coming down to take over this freaking land wherever you're at, then you would understand my point. Men, and some feminists will say, yeah, well, men create all the war. Hey, war has been going on since day one. Since the first 2 dudes left the first 2 caves and looked at each other and didn't like the way the other guy was looking at him and picked up a rock and cracked his skull. That's just the way it is. So who cares who created it? It is what it is. We live in a violent world, and men have created, it sucks to hear the truth, I know it does. Men have created the vast majority of all of the things that women want to control now and want to take credit for. And who gives a fuck about credit at this point? What's important is truth. Truth is supreme to everything. And you could take any one of your boss babe friends or yourself, if you're a boss babe, and you've got, the Jaguar in the garage, and you've got all, the beautiful house, and you own property, and you've got lots of investments. That's great, man. It's good for you, and it doesn't threaten me. It doesn't threaten guys like me at all. But you're not going to get both. Because here's the thing, and when I say both, you're not going to be able to be the boss babe and have a guy treat you with the way that you want to be treated, in that part of you that doesn't like to admit that you want to be treated like a woman, because that is nature. You can't push that away. That is naturally inside of you to want to be treated like a woman, and it's naturally inside of men to want to protect and provide for women. And if you're a boss babe and you're standing in your domain and you're very proud of yourself, which you should be, you've accomplished a lot, as long as you weren't DEI hired and you actually earned your shit. If you looked up at your CCTV camera, that because you're rich, because you're a boss babe, you got all the security. If you look up at your monitors and you see a bunch of guys with guns and knives coming over your fucking fence, you're going to wish you had a dude like me with you. And you know it, and I know it, and we all know it. Why? Because there's a gun within 3 feet of me at any time. And I know how to use it, and I have the mindset from here up how to deal with situations like that. The vast majority, 99.9% of women would have no clue how to deal with that. And even if they did have a clue as to how to deal with it, there's some highly trained women in martial arts, MMA, and the use of firearms. But they're never going to be able to deal with a guy like me. I'm 6'4". I'm 255 pounds, and I know how to shoot. You get 5 or 6 of me coming at you, and it's over. It's over. But 5 or 6 of me coming at me, that's not a problem, man. That's the world I live in. That's fine. I can handle that. So it doesn't make me better than you. But what it does, it makes me different than you. And women, you need to understand that men are different. And the things we want are different. And trust me, the balance is not even at all in terms of what we want versus what women want. Here's what we want. I'm going to tell you right now. I know this not just from me. You know how many, as a cop, cops get divorced all the time, man. I mean, you get into a police car and you're meeting a guy for the first time. It's never, are you married? It's how many times you've been married. Cops, at least in my day, they'd be on their 3rd or 4th marriage. It was very common. Cop marriages just didn't last long for a lot of reasons. The stress, a lot of infidelity from the cops themselves. But I lost my train of, I'm getting old, man. So the thing is, I know what guys want, because when you're sitting around in a police car for 12 hours, you talk about virtually everything from farts, the consistency of your morning shit, to relationships and what we want out of a relationship. And I'm here to tell you that men want softness out of women, and women today, many of them, I'm speaking in generalization, they see softness as weakness. Oh, you want to, because I like Asian women, and I know I've heard this so many times. Oh, you want subservient Asian women. Oh, yes, Mr. Mike. Yes, would you like me to run your bath water? You know what? Actually, that does sound very attractive. And I make fun of it, but that is not my wife. My wife would knock me out if she was standing right here. She's really good with a chopstick. But there's nothing wrong with wanting softness. And the reason we want it is because it's natural. When you're nice and kind and soft, and that means feminine, that's what we want. And that's all you have to give to make a man happy and make a man love you and be willing to die for you. Because the world is a motherfucker, and out in that world, especially for guys, it's hard, it's dangerous, it's dirty, and you got to wear your armor to get through it. And when you come into your castle at the end of the day, the last thing anybody wants is some chick with a bitchy attitude, nagging and thinking they're equal, puffing up on them, yelling at them, arguing with them, putting them down. Nobody wants that. And that shit won't last very long. It won't last very long. And you women have been sold a lie that you have the right. And I'm going to tell you something else, man. For this is for married everybody, married men and married women. I will tell you what will destroy a marriage quicker than anything. And this is almost scientific fact. The worst thing for a marriage is allowing, and so these young women are going to be like, wait a minute, did he just say allowing So he allows his woman, he thinks he can allow, yeah, I said it, allowing your wife to hang around with single women. Married women hanging around single women is the most damaging thing to a marriage that you can, it's the most damaging ingredient you can add to a marriage. It just is. I've seen it destroy countless marriages. And it's real simple. The single women, when they get to go out for their little girls thing and they're doing whatever it is they're doing, and they got a married girl there, the conversation may go something like this: "Hey, next week we're gonna have a girls thing at the yacht club, and we're gonna all go down and have some champagne on so and so's boat. Can you go?" Well, and then the married lady might say, "Well, let me run it by Jim and see." And here it comes. "Wow, you got to ask your husband for permission?" Whoa. And they act like that is the worst thing in the world. And they all roll their eyes. And then and this goes on and on in many variations. These little subtle and sometimes not so subtle, man, it must be nice to be a slave, or wow, how old are you again? And you got to do this, and you got to be in by the time the street lights. You've got to answer the phone every time he calls you. You have to and after a while, the married woman starts thinking, man, I'm really fucked up. I'm not happy, because these fucking unmarried ones who are literally unhappy and sad because they're not married are either consciously or subconsciously trying to sabotage your happiness, because nothing makes an unhappy bitch more unhappy than a happy woman. They don't want to see you happy. There's a lot of guys like that. A lot of guys don't want to see another guy happy. And so their whole life is to chop down happy people. And that's why I'm telling you, if you want to avoid huge problems in your marriage and you're a man, do not be one of these guys that thinks it's cute and cool to let your wife go out with all these fucking single chicks and have her girl time. Because I promise you, as sure as I'm sitting here, that you're going to end up in a situation where you lose half of everything if you're lucky, and all of everything if you're not, in a divorce down the road. Because those unhappy cat women are going to convince your wife that she's miserable and that she is a doormat and blah, blah, blah. You just remember the old bald dude said that on YouTube, because that is what's coming if your wife is hanging around single chicks. Now, what about men? What about men? Does it work both ways? I don't use cocaine. I have allergies. I know some chicks going to be like, well, no wonder he's fucking, this guy's a cocaine addict. But it works both ways, okay? Like I said, I'm 63. Guess what I've never been to in my entire life? I've never attended a bachelor's party. Not because I didn't want to, not because I wasn't invited. I got invited to countless. But I wouldn't do it out of respect for my wife, because I know what goes on at bachelor parties. And I'm a dude. I mean, if some chick takes her shirt off and her tits are bouncing around, I'm going to be looking, because that's just the way I am. So why put myself in that situation? So I haven't gone to a bachelor party. That may be extreme to some of you guys, but I haven't done it. I've heard enough stories. And I do it, like I said, out of respect for my ex-wife and my current wife. So the other thing is, I try... When I try my best to associate with guys who are either married or are not like clubbing. I haven't been to a bar in so many freaking years, man. Honestly, I don't remember. 20 years, 25 years. I don't know. 30? Who knows? Because I don't do shit like that. I'm married. I don't live like a single guy. There's nothing good that's going to come out of a fucking bar for a married man. Nothing. So you just don't put yourself in those situations. And I know I'm going all over the map here. But trying to come back to what the topic was and wrap this thing up, I know I ramble a lot, is young women. I don't know how you're going to save yourselves, but I would suggest you do this. You make a decision. What is it you want out of life? What is it you want? It's perfectly fine to want to be a boss babe. But you cannot be a boss babe and a happily married woman. Now, somebody's going to come up with an exception. And I'll tell you this, give it time. I hope it works out forever, but give it time. Because guys, especially young guys, the generations after me, are very good at simping and at pretending to like shit just to make these girls happy. they're not as blatant and straightforward as I am, because I came from the days before this whole public shaming and this, getting kicked off of social media because you hurt somebody's feelings. This is before all these trendy words. Just look at any video right now, and everybody uses the same fucking words and the same. It's like scripted. Oh, and then he tried to gaslight me. 99% of these people have no idea where the fucking term gaslighting comes from. They use it wrong, and that's just one example out of 100. And so I don't come from that era. I don't come from that era of censorship. Back in my day, we said what we said, and if you didn't like it, you either walked away or you punched me in the face, and then things happened. But feelings did not trump facts, and I still believe in that. So this is just some straightforward, from the heart advice to you, that you must figure out, what do you want. Look at yourself in the future. Where do I want to be next year? And this goes for everybody. Everyone should be doing this when they're young. I'm talking about before you retire. Where do I want to be next year? Because the years fly by, in case you haven't noticed, and they don't slow down. It gets faster. Where do I want to be at the end of next year? Where do I want to be in 5 years? And if part of that is you want to have a happy family or a husband who would die for you and will protect you, then you need to start looking at what you're doing now. Are you like the fucking village bicycle? Are you running around as the town punch board? Everybody's jumping on you and riding you? Because here's another little secret. No real man is going to want to be with you with a high body count. It's just not going to happen. It's nasty. It is fucking nasty. Okay, I'm just telling you that. And I don't know the psychology. I have my own opinions on it, because I know that some chick's going to be like, well, wait. And a lot of guys, these simpy guys, well, wait, so is it okay for guys to have a high body count? Yes, it is. I'm just going to tell you, the old man's going to tell you, it's okay for guys to do it. It's okay for men to have a high body count. And it sucks if a woman has a high body count. And here's why. First of all, when a woman lays down with a man, she's receiving. She's receiving. And that's just fucking nasty if you want to receive a bunch of shit from a bunch of fucking guys. That's just wrong. The other thing is, for a woman to lay down with a guy and give her everything, there has to be some kind of a weird connection, some kind of a slight connection, where for a man to do it, it doesn't mean shit. The minute a guy is done, and I don't need to get graphic here, but the minute he is finished, he wants to be anywhere in the world except with you. I said this once to my daughter, and it came back to haunt me, because she said that like scarred her, because she always thought that men were going to want that. That's all they were thinking. And you know what? Sorry if you're watching this, honey, but I wasn't wrong. I was not fucking wrong. I'm talking about one night stands, guys that you hook up with. Hookups, I guess, is what you guys are calling it now. Guys that hook up with you will say and do anything to get in that position, and the second they're done, they're already thinking about getting the fuck out of there, and they don't want to be sweet talking you and blah blah blah. And I know that hurts. I guess I learned it hurts. It's hurt. The truth hurts, but that is the truth. And any guy that denies that is a fucking liar. He's a liar. I'm not talking about a guy you're dating, or a guy that has feelings for you. I'm not talking about that kind of guy. I'm talking about the one that you meet, and you're drinking, and he's talking sweet to you and blah, 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 blah. The minute he's done with you that night, he's out of there, man. He's already thinking of playing Call of Duty. That's how guys are. All right? It's just the way it is. I love my wife beyond description. But the minute I'm done, I can't wait to get back to playing Ark Raiders, because that's my newest fucking cool game. And if you haven't tried it, do it. But yeah, Ark Raiders, man, what a game. So, women, you really young women, don't throw your body around, because the thing that makes you special is the fact that you're special. And being special means that every guy in the fucking neighborhood hasn't sampled you, tried you out like a car, driven you around, kicked the tires, and then throw you back for the next guy. No dude wants that. And they can all lie to you and say it doesn't matter. It matters. It matters to them. And it'll come up down the road. It'll come up down the road. Trust me. And the other thing, since I'm on it, I got to figure out how to end this stupid video. It's getting way too long. Is the way you look. You could be an ugly fucking dude. I'm living proof. Ended up with beautiful women. Somehow I've done it my whole life. I've had the most beautiful women. I mean, and look at me. But women, you got to take care of yourselves, man. You just have to. And while we're talking about looks, let's talk about tattoos. Now, I've got like 8 tattoos. I got tattoos on my chest. I got them on my arms. I got them everywhere. But I'm not a woman. And I'm going to tell you, I should do a whole video just on tattoos. In fact, maybe I will. I watch some of these women talking about how guys don't want them, and they got fucking shit tattooed on their hand. Man, if you got shit on your hands and on your neck, you have fucking sealed away 99% of any decent guy. I don't care if you agree with it or not. Even I happen to love tattoos. I've got, like I said, I got 8 tattoos. I got a piercing. I'm not some fucking stick in the mud. But here's the deal. Back when I was getting tattoos, I made sure that none of them showed, because I knew I was going to be a cop and I didn't want to have tattoos showing, because back in those days it was very frowned upon. So I had them up high, you know. And I remember when I was a paratrooper and I got my first jump wings. And I was literally 18 years old thinking to myself, well, when I'm LAPD, the uniform shirt will come down to here. So I made sure it was above the sleeve. I didn't get arm tattoos and shit until I retired. The next thing about tattoos, so I would just say, look, avoid the neck, avoid the hands. It's just stupid, man. Don't ever tattoo your face. Piercings, I mean, you know, you can take them out, you know, but be careful with the nose piercings and all that shit, man. You know, when you're young, think ahead. And if you're gonna get a tattoo and I'll end it after this. For the love of God, make sure the fucking tattoo means something. I look at some of these. If you go to Reddit, there's a section for fucked up tattoos. It's fucking interesting to see it. But, you know, people regretting their tattoos and wanting to get rid of them. But you look at some of these tattooed people, and women are worse than guys with this. And they will put, like, the first random thought that comes into their head. There'll be a toaster on their arm. And then next to that, there'll be a fucking fire hydrant with a dog fucking pissing on it. And then there'll be a fucking a unicorn flying with Gumby riding it. The fuck does that mean? What does it mean? It's on there for life. So when you go to get a tattoo, if you're going to get a tattoo, and I highly advise you don't, it's just, you know, it's unbecoming of women, I think. But if you had to go get one, and for guys too, make sure that they mean something, that they're going to mean this, excuse me, they're going to mean the same thing 50 years from today as they mean right now, which means they should tell a bit of a story, you know, an achievement, a milestone, something that when you look back on it, you're like, man, it's a little reward I gave myself because of this period of my life. What the fuck does a toaster have to do with a milestone? Anyways, if any of this made sense, leave a like. Look, I don't fucking get monetized. I'm just a dude that likes to talk. So if you don't like it, you don't fucking like it. But it is cool to see the likes. And the comments are even better. I read every one of them. And yeah, in the meantime, good luck. Don't give up hope. Don't be bitter. Think about what people say to you, no matter how young or how old they are. And then do something unique. Like use your own brain and think for yourself. And don't be offended because somebody tells you you need to be offended. What? That guy said we're not equal? There is no equality in life. I have dogs. They're not equal. One dog can beat up the other 2 dogs. Nobody's equal. I have identical twin sons. They're not equal at all. They're, you know, beyond the looks, they're not equal. There is no equality. So that's a big lie you were sold. So stop trying to be equal and start trying to be special. Anyways, stay safe. Good luck. Happy New Year.